Howdy, y'all, and welcome to the EEARSS Podcast Produced by Terrier TV. I am Alligator Rob. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, wouldn't you guys say?
It is.
Yeah. Has it been an excellent weekend, Cindy?
It has.
Yeah. Was it relaxing and calm?
Not at all.
But it was still good.
It was good.
Okay. What about you, Bill? How are things going?
Good. We had a little storm and
Yeah.
made it
That
through
we
okay.
did.
I forgot all about that. Honest to goodness.
Yeah.
I honest to goodness forgot we had a hurricane over the weekend.
Yeah, so,
Is that
made it through
weird?
that.
I don't know. It was
little
so nice over the weekend that I forgot we had that during the week.
Yep.
Because Saturday was one of the most beautiful days I think we had this entire year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Saturday was unbelievable. Crystal clear, blue skies. I mean, you'd have never known there was a hurricane the day before.
Yep.
But that was
It actually felt like fall for like 30 minutes.
Oh, tomorrow.
Saturday too. They're saying Saturday is going to be really nice. I'm super duper excited for it.
Well, here at school, I have a theory, and Cindy, you can tell me if this is right. Tomorrow's going to be cold, but it doesn't have any warning. So Friday, every girl who has boots is wearing boots.
Is that how that works?
Oh yeah. The whole campus will
Absolutely.
be filled with girls.
That is a
with
scientific
boots.
fact, actually. I wore my boots the 30-minute period it was cold.
It was
I
cold.
wore them.
Oh
yes.
yeah. No, in Florida.
I wait for it all
That's
year.
it. The girls are waiting. There's boot day.
Boots
when
and sweater dresses.
the opening day of the season, and they're all in their boots.
I have two seasons. One's flip flops and no shoes at all, and one's rubber boots, and they overlap each other for some reason.
There you go.
Yeah, like if I'm going to Walmart, chances are I'm gonna have rubber boots on. They're the most comfortable pair of shoes I own, so maybe that counts for something. I'm not quite sure, but
Plus, you need those for Walmart.
yeah, that's what I need for Christmas. If you guys know anybody looking to buy me something for Christmas, I need a new pair of rubber boots.
Rubber boots.
Might sprung a hole. It hurts my feelings a little bit.
Oh, that doesn't help you.
They're no longer watertight. It's very sad. It's a sad day in the neighborhood. But you guys ready to jump into this?
We are.
Okay, so
Yep.
Today we are joined on the phone by a fella who's super duper guy, very kind man, great family, and we were joined on the phone by Andy Murray. Andy, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, Frank, I got to add on to that thing. I have a friend who says this is the start of the Han Solo season because the girls all wear boots and vests.
Oh yeah.
That is hilarious. The Han Solo season. That is well played, Andy. I like it.
Way too accurate.
I never even thought of the comparison.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't either.
That is hilarious. So, Andy, you have just released a book called Eat, Drink, and Be Murray. It's very appropriate, seeing as you are a Murray and you enjoy eating and drinking, and that's what you've made a career out of, being a chef. Which, if I'm being honest with you, I knew you owned and operated 2 restaurants. I did not know you were a gourmet chef. I had no idea.
Oh no, I started cooking real young. My mother realized I had kind of a knack and an interest in it when I was 4, and taught me how to cook bacon, because at our house, we got 9 kids: Edward, Brian, Nancy, Peggy, Billy, Laurie, Andy, John, Joel. And so
Do you win those contests to saying that fast? I remember you said there was a contest.
I can do it faster. But we had 2 or 3 pounds of bacon for breakfast. So my mother said, "Well, here's a kid who can do it." And I realized right away that if I cooked the bacon, I could get extra bacon.
That is always the key. And I noticed in your book, you even mentioned it a few times, that bacon, everything is better with bacon, which is
always.
It's true. And there were even several recipes where you mentioned cooking in the bacon grease.
Oh yeah. Bacon grease is the best.
It's a beautiful thing.
Oh yes.
It's the only way I cook my eggs.
Is it really?
That really it is. Well, no, I and as a short order cook, I did them in with butter, but I can do them I love doing them with bacon.
So, talking about this book, Andy, I was telling Cindy about it and Bill about it before we started the program. I cannot remember reading a book in recent history, which, I mean, I've read a lot of books in recent history, so let's say I've read books in recent history. Let's not go that direction. I can't remember reading a book recently that literally within the first same 5 minutes, I shed some tears and then I laughed out loud. I love the way you blended family stories with work experiences into your recipes, and how you go from everything from breaking down utensils to why you do things and why you use certain things, from knives and what kinds of ovens to use. And then you start getting into these very detailed recipes, and each one of them has a family story along with it, which is quite touching. So tell us a little bit about your book writing journey and how you got there.
Well, it started actually 3 years ago this month. I was cooking Thanksgiving dinner at my brother Billy's house. And this woman came in. She's a very attractive woman. And she sat down, and she didn't help at all. I thought maybe she wanted to come in and cut vegetables or clean plates or something. Nothing. She just watched. And at the end of the dinner, she said, that was one of the most beautiful meals and one of the most beautiful turkeys I've ever seen. You should write a cookbook. And I kind of looked at her. I went, well, what are you drinking, and why haven't I gotten any of that? But it ended up, it was Karen Duffy, who was the VJ on MTV, Duff.
Okay.
And she goes, I got a book agent. I'm telling him about you. And I, and she pushed it. And I said, I got my hands full right now. Let me just give me till after the new year. And I didn't think a whole lot about it. And then, the pandemic started. And in that period of time, 3 different people told me I should write a cookbook in the beginning of the pandemic. So I had a lot of time on my hands, of course, like everybody else. And so I called her back, and I said, Duff, so you think that agent would still be interested? And she goes, oh, yes, of course. I've talked to him. He is real interested. Here's his number. Call him up. And within 3 weeks, he had gotten me a deal with HarperCollins.
Wow, that's amazing. And they
really
were obviously spot on too, Andy, because like I said, it's an incredible book. Somebody doesn't need to be a fan of the Murray family to really enjoy this and get some cool stuff out of it. I enjoyed the stories about your mom, and you talking about your family and how you guys would sit down around the dinner table, and that was a big part of your Sunday through Thursday. Which a lot of families, like you were saying in the book as well, have lost that, but are kind of coming back to it now. And I think it's an important part of any family.
Oh, I think the more you sit around and enjoy your family, the more you learn how to deal with life. I mean, you at my table anyway, you learn how to you developed a thick skin because the one-liners were just wicked. So you're like. You knew how to take it and shake it off and not take it personally because it was all fun. But, and if you could get my dad to laugh, that was a big deal because my dad was a very funny guy and he knew what really funny stuff was. So you really had to be good. So the dinner table, there were 9 kids around the table and parents, that's 11 people. And Sunday through Thursday, we had dinner every night. And I just wish more people would do it and come back to it.
I found myself, like I was saying, busting into laughter on several occasions as I was reading this, and I kind of felt like in some of these stories I was standing beside you as you were telling it, like the Billy Joel story. But you mentioned one on multiple instances where you lived across the street from a place that had a garden and had fruit trees, and you got caught one of these times. Can you tell us a little bit about that situation and that story?
Yeah, no, my family home in Wilmette's, the northern suburb of Chicago. We lived across the street from this really, really big convent, and they grew all their vegetables to feed the nuns, and they had apple trees and cherry trees and vegetables you've never heard about. And I was always in there, me and my brothers and a couple of friends, and okay, we'll take some apples. Okay, well. We did serious damage to their cherry trees. We just ate them all. And then occasionally the nuns would chase us, and they never caught us. But one day, this nun caught me. And we called her the German nun because she was German. But she was the head gardener. And she just sticks this tomato in my hand. She goes, eat that. I went, but it's a tomato. So she goes, no, eat it like an apple. And I ate it, and it was the best tomato I've ever had. And I've been looking for that tomato ever since. I thought I found it. Jersey tomatoes. New Jersey has some really great beefsteak tomatoes. It's August. You got to get them in August. That's for sure. But
I'm imagining that as you were telling this, as I was reading it, I'm imagining you going through the situation, and man, I was busting up laughing. I'm like, that's hilarious. It's really something else. You were talking about as well, your early culinary days whenever you were learning the trade from some different restaurants you worked in up in New York. And you said, you had people like Frank Sinatra and his wife came in. You've done all kinds of different cooking for different celebrities on the high end there. What was that like learning that trade and really a very different place from where you grew up?
Well, originally I had gone out to New York to go to the Culinary Institute in Hyde Park, and but I stopped in Manhattan first, and my brother Billy was on Saturday Night Live at the time, and they had a guy who catered, him and his wife, Kitty and Eric Peugeot, and he said, Andy, you don't have to do that. You can work for me. I will teach you everything. And I basically, I said, okay. And so I became basically an indentured servant. I lived in the basement, and I went to the farm stands every day because the North Fork of Long Island. This is out in the Hamptons, right? So in the summertime in the Hamptons isn't too bad. So I went to the farmers stands and got the produce, and I met the fishing boats and would pick out fish for the restaurant. And then I went to New York. After that, into New York City, and I worked for Patrick DeMarchale's restaurant. He was the fashion photographer who just died. He was a big-time fashion photographer. Him and his brother had this restaurant, DeMarchale. And I worked there for a little while, 2 years. And then I went to Mortimer's. Mortimer's was the she society, watering hole, corner saloon, whatever you want to call it, where, Jackie Onassis hung out. The Princess Margaret came. The King of Spain came. But, Bill Blass, anybody who was, anybody in society in New York at the time went to Mortimer's. It was a tough table to get. But one day, Frank Sinatra was playing in Madison Square Garden, and Red Buttons was throwing a dinner party afterwards. And he did it at the restaurant, and so we were doing a rack of lamb, which was our specialty. And it's it was a beautiful thing, and actually in the book you'll see a picture of it. It is gorgeous. But so all of a sudden, Barbara Sinatra, Frank's wife, is at the door of the kitchen, and she goes, my husband and I, we don't eat lamb. Can you make us something else? And I looked at her, I said, well, I've got some really nice Dover sole. She goes, that would be perfect. And so we whipped up the Dover sole, we sent it out. The meal's over, dessert, coffee, and all of a sudden Frank Sinatra's at the door of the kitchen. And he goes, who made that fish? And I point to it's kind of scary. You go, oh God, do we screw this up? But so I immediately point to John Marsh, my friend who's cooked the fish, and I said, John did. He goes, that was a beautiful piece of fish. Gives him $100 bill, and then starts passing out 50s to everybody else that working in the kitchen.
Wow.
And it was really cool. And so when he left, we all ran out. There's a side door. We ran out. It was at 75th and Lexington, and cheered him as he got into his limo and pulled away.
There are so many amazing stories like that throughout this book, and I had no idea there was an Andy Murray band. That was big news to me.
Oh no, the Andy Murray band. Well, when I was young, when I was a kid, I was in a boys' choir at our church, and our pastor, Monsignor Meter, was a really, really good musician, and he had conducted the choir at the Vatican. And so when they made him Monsignor pastor of this church, he decided he wanted to have a boys' choir. Tori Cantoris is what they called it. And so we went to Rome to sing in the Vatican at this boys' choir convention.
Wow!
And it was fabulous. And then from there, I went. In high school, I was in boys' ensemble, and I sang at the Opera House in Chicago with the choir. But so I was telling this to friends of mine. I used to hang out at a bar called JP's in New York, and it was a music hangout. It was all sorts of musicians would show up and play, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I was telling these friends I'd made there, and one of them, Steve Holly, was the drummer for Wings, and Brian Stanley, who was in the Graham Parsons Project, and he was a bass player. Jimmy Vivino, who's Conan O'Brien's music director. And we put, and Hank Logan and the sax player, we put together, so they said, well, let's do a show. And so I called up all my friends, and we packed these clubs. And and it was like kind of how we only did them on holidays. It was like my birthday, Christmas, Easter, that's the only time we played, because these guys were making real money other places.
Can I take a minute to appreciate that you recognized your birthday as a holiday? I am here for that energy. Yes.
It's usually for the whole week. It's not just the day.
Oh, it's ingenious. You had some good stories about your mom and what she meant to your family, and how after your dad had passed away, your whole family had to really do a lot of stuff and make it all work for the whole family, being so many kids. Being 9 kids there, and man, there's so many amazing pieces and parts of this book, Andy, that you put together something very, very special.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you appreciate it. The reaction I'm getting from a lot of people is really good. People do like it. I've got some Chicago newspapers gave it wonderful reviews.
Yeah, it's well deserved.
But yeah, and it's a wonderful Christmas present for anybody who's looking for Christmas presents.
No doubt about it. Yeah, I understand you're doing a book signing next week sometime in St. Augustine.
Yeah, on the 22nd, 11/22/22.
Okay.
It's kind of a mystical number, right?
Yeah, we'll have this up. We'll have this up by that time, and I'm planning on coming up there and getting mine signed.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
Plan on coming up there and getting mine signed. So before we go, we always end with trivia, and since I understand you're kind of an expert on Elvis trivia, we're fixing to break out some Elvis trivia.
A little bit. I've got an Elvis cookie in there.
I saw it.
In the book, which is actually, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful cookie with bananas and the caramelized bananas on top and ice cream. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so I'm going to be trying, there's a sandwich in there you mentioned, which I don't want to give too much away, that you specifically talk about. It involves peanut butter and mayonnaise and something else. I'm going to be making that for lunch tomorrow, and I'll be letting you know how that goes. I'll have to take a couple pictures of that and share it.
Oh, do that. It's actually a wonderful flavor. People go, oh, you got to be kidding me.
So I've heard about people liking a couple of those things together before, but the 3 of them together, it sounds pretty daggum exciting. If I got to be honest with you, I'm excited to try it.
Well, get some soft bread. Soft bread is key to it.
Nice, like soft white bread.
Yeah, like Wonder Bread.
Okay.
It's like that's what we grew up on. It was, or if we were feeling healthy, my mother bought Roman meals. So.
Okay. All right, you ready for a couple Elvis trivia questions?
Well, let's see what I got.
Okay, let's see what you got. Bill and Cindy will help you out here. So.
Okay.
Number 1, which film did Elvis first star in, and what year was it?
Was it Love Me Tender?
It was Love Me Tender, 100%.
I don't know. Was that 58, 59, something like that?
That's very close. That is very close.
56.
It was 56, indeed. Yeah, it was
1956.
1956. Yep.
Well, that's the year I was born. That's why I didn't see it that year.
That was awesome. Well done. Number 2, who was Elvis Presley's co-star in the movie Viva Las Vegas?
Anne Margaret.
Indeed, it was Anne Margaret.
Oh yeah.
Anne Margaret grew up in my hometown.
Did she really?
She grew up in Wilmette. She and her mother lived above the funeral home on Ridge. And she went to New Cherries, where I went to high school, and she was a cheerleader.
Wow. I was reading in the book too that your sister worked at Humboldt Park for a while. My
sister is a nun.
Yeah, you said she was over there for a while, I believe you said.
Oh yeah, well when she first got out of the nunnery, when she passed all her bar exam, whatever you want to call it.
Oh my garage. Lord.
And she went to they sent her to the high school she went to, which is a pretty white bread high school. It's like, there's a lot of money in there. And so, but in the summertime she would do missionary work down in the Dominican Republic or Costa Rica or something like that. So there was the symposium in Chicago where they were talking about how to deal with the Latin community. and she got up and put her 2 cents in. Well, the next week they transferred her to Humboldt Park in Chicago, which at the time was one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Chicago.
Yeah.
And she was there for 20 years, and she ruled. She ruled. I mean, these mothers would bring their daughters over. They were pregnant or whatever. Their father was going to kill them, and Nancy would take care of them and calm down the fathers, and everybody was fine. And she was there. And Sister Nancy's. My mother died. There were busloads of people from Humboldt Park who came to the wake. It was crazy.
Wow, how amazing is that?
Yeah, there really was.
That's incredible. Well, Andy, we won't keep you. We won't keep you anymore. We super appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. If you guys, if people are looking to go buy the book, where can they find that at, Andy? I'm pretty sure it's about everywhere, isn't it?
You can get Amazon, Walmart, Target, Barnes and Noble, all the major guys. Or the HarperCollins website too.
Okay, so Eat, Drink, and Be Murray, book by Andy Murray. Really, it's so much more than just a cookbook. There are great recipes in it with things that look absolutely amazing, but it's really a story, and I think an excellent book about family life. I mean, it really is.
Well, thank you, Frank. And there's nothing in the book that's too hard to make. I specifically made this book easy so people could do it.
Yeah, I'm going to be trying out some of that French toast here in the very near future, and that sandwich I'm telling you is lunch tomorrow. But I super appreciate you being on here, Andy. Thank you for joining us, and safe travels into Florida, buddy. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Cindy. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Great chatting with you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, toodaloo.
All right, see you, buddy.
Have a good day.
You too, buddy. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. That's another episode in the book. Andy's an excellent human being. It's a great chatting with him. I wish him nothing but success with that book. It's gonna be a hit.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it is. I mean, it's a special book, special guy, special family. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. We will catch you all next week. Bye-bye.